What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the benefits that I've personally received from having childhood trauma. And I know you're probably thinking, obviously, how can he have anything good that has come from trauma? But one thing you'll learn about me, and one of the reasons why I'm making this channel, is I try to look at things from a different perspective. The reality is that when you have something terrible happen to you in your past, whether it's someone like myself who lost their father at 17 and then their brother at 19, or anybody else with their situation, which is, completely different and completely unique, those things are going to stay with you forever, right? You can't change them. However, you can look at things through a different lens, and you can try to utilize what's already going to be there from a negative standpoint long term as a positive. So what are some of the things that benefit me specifically from childhood trauma? So the first one is what a superpower is, I guess you could call it, right? So everybody's got this thing that they are significantly more adept to than other people. Something that comes naturally, it doesn't really require any work. You definitely take it for granted because it's just normal to you, but when other people see it, they always comment on it to you. I don't understand how you're so good at this, or how are you able to think things through like this? Whatever the case may be, everybody's got one. So for me, mine is resiliency. And I don't think that's necessarily something that I was born with. I think that that's something that actually was given to me by the trauma that happened in my life. Because the reality is, when you are operating from such a low point at such a young age, it really forces you to be resilient, because you've got two options. You can survive, or you can leave, right? You can leave the earth, leave the planet, however you want to phrase it. Those are the two things, the two options that you have. That's the fork in the road. So when you make the decision that, hey, I want to stick around, and regardless of what's happened to me, I want to make an impact, or I want to try to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be. If you have a very unique view on things, and you also get some thick skin, because unfortunately and fortunately, the stuff that's happened to you doesn't happen to a lot of people. So because of that, you kind of build a shell around yourself, and you get some resiliency, and it makes like everyday stuff that people struggle with all the time seem like water off a duck's back. So like some examples, getting a flat tire in the middle of the day and having to change it on the side of the road when it's 98 degrees out, like that's not cool. But at the end of the day, like it's not really that big of a deal, right? Financial issues, missing a credit card payment, or knowing how you're going to pay the mortgage, or, trying to make ends meet financially, that can be extremely stressful for people. I mean, it is stressful for me too, but I know that nothing is ever going to be as bad as the way things were when I was a kid. Like, it's just literally impossible. So because of that, when I'm faced with these things, like, yeah, they're stressful, and yeah, they're inconvenient, but they're not the end of the world. And when you're looking at things as clearly as you can, looking at them from the right perspective, they're really not that big of a deal, and they're all temporary things. Losing someone that you love is not a temporary thing. So when you're comparing that to anything that can happen on a day-to-day basis, it's like, is that really that big of a deal? It's really not, right? So that's the first thing really that comes top of mind when I'm talking about benefits that I directly got because of the trauma that happened in my life. Some other things is like directly related to resiliency is like not quitting at something initially. Because again, when you are coming from a place of lack or pain or neglect, it forces you to understand very early that you're flawed. Everyone is, right? Nobody's perfect. So that's extremely helpful when you're going into situations where initially, unless you're like some sort of savant or something, you're going to struggle, right? Because nobody's good at something the first time they try it, or maybe even the 17th time they try it. But again, when you're coming from the low point that I'm coming from in my life, when everything is automatically compared to, the bottom, my childhood, I go into it with a very low perception of myself, and also knowing that I'm super flawed. So it makes things more realistic when I'm trying stuff for the first time, or even, like I said, the 16th time. And if things don't go perfect the first few times I try something, I'm very good at sticking with it and kind of like grinding it out and seeing where it goes, making sure I'm putting in maximum effort. eventually push comes to shove, you don't want to bang your head against the wall, right? If something's not panning out like a hobby or an interest or something you're doing on the side, over a long enough time period, as long as you know you're putting maximum effort in, if it's still not working out, well, then it is what it is. But most people aren't able to stick through things, especially in this day and age when everything is all about instant gratification. If somebody's not good at something immediately, they just quit it, or they find another interest, or they bounce to the next thing. But again, because of what's happened to me, I have a tendency to stick through things and kind of see them through to the end, for better or for worse. But I think that's definitely a benefit, because it's helped me in a lot of situations when I wasn't initially good at something. And now I look back and I think about it and I'm like, well, if I quit after like the fourth try of that specific thing, I never would have, learned what I did long term or gotten to where I did with that one specific thing if I had, thrown in the towel. So I think that's super important. The second main thing after resiliency that childhood trauma has been a benefit for me is acknowledgement of mortality. So when I say this, I mean in other people and in myself. So let's do other people first, okay? So it creates urgency in your personal relationships because, again, for me, my dad was murdered when I was 17. And I lost my brother a rare white blood cell deficiency when I was 19. So I'm immediately forced to understand as a kid that nobody lives forever, right? You're looking at your parents as superheroes, you're thinking nothing's ever going to happen to them, and then all of a sudden, someone else makes the decision to remove your father from your life forever. It forces you to realize that life is a finite thing. And yeah, that is, the most difficult thing I've had to deal with as a human being on this planet. But it also, like I said, trying to look at it through a different lens can be helpful because it creates urgency in your relationships. If you love and care about someone, it makes you really want to proactively try to cultivate that relationship with them, spend more time with them, go the extra mile to communicate with them, do more things for people without being asked to do them just because you love them and care about them. And you know that this isn't going to go on forever. So that's huge. Squashing a dispute with a very close friend or, getting on a flight to go spend some time with a loved one, maybe that's ill or that you haven't seen in a while. Like those are all things that I kind of get the itch to do because of everything that's happened to me. From a personal standpoint, the acknowledgement of mortality is super helpful because it has allowed me to take a lot of risks in my life. So I'll give you a perfect example. When 2012, so 13 years ago, I was in a bad spot in my life. I had gotten 2 DUIs in a month. I was drinking myself into oblivion. I was doing well at work, but that was about the only thing that was going well for me. I just gotten out of a terrible 8-year on and off relationship, cheated on, and the whole thing my life was a disaster. I was doing community service, I was paying court fines, money to lawyers, you name it. And I was also living in my best friend's basement at the time, and I was 28 years old, about to turn 29. So, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that I was in a bad spot. But because of, again, my upbringing, I kind of looked at it like, well, what's worst case scenario? If I pick up and move right now and I go somewhere else, right? What's worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is I'm in the same spot I'm in right now, right? So that didn't seem that bad to me. So I did something crazy. My best friend and I, we packed all our stuff in our car and we moved down to Florida. We knew one person here. And that was 13 years ago, and I never went back. Now, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do something like that because that's, it's scary as shit, right? But again, coming from where I came from, taking risks isn't all that bad. Because again, nothing other than leaving the planet, nothing's going to happen to me that could possibly be as worse as my childhood was, right? So let's take some risks. We only live once. Mortality is a certainty, you know what I mean? You only have a certain amount of time here, so why not? Take a shot at it. Again, worst case scenario, I'm in the same spot that I'm in. And that completely changed my life. I'm happily married now. I have 2 beautiful kids. I built a beautiful house. I have a job. I took the risk to make a YouTube channel, not knowing if it's going to work or not. These are the things that having childhood trauma has allowed me to do. And I'm thankful for those things because taking taking a risk or rolling the dice. When some people look at it and they say, well, no, absolutely not, I would never do something like that, it's very easy for me to do. And one thing that I did learn is you grow by taking risks, because you're not going to grow unless you're putting yourself in awkward, uncomfortable situations, like making this YouTube, for example, being completely vulnerable and talking about my childhood. Granted, whether nobody watches it or a million people watch this, the reality is I'm still putting myself out there, which is not something that I have to do, right? I can hide and just live out my life, but I want to do this to impact people, and I think I can bring some value. And if it makes a difference to even like one kid's life or one person's life, then it's worth it for me. And it doesn't bother me. I could talk about this stuff all day long. It doesn't bother me at all, because there isn't anything that anybody on the internet can say to me that's going to affect me in a negative way. Because for starters, I don't care what other people think. And secondly, there's nothing that some stranger is going to tell me that's going to be worse than where I came from. Trust me, you can bank on that. So I'm coming from a place of wanting to serve and wanting to help, and I have no other expectations whatsoever with this channel. And all that is possible because of what I've been through. So that's just another benefit of it. And obviously, like, staying in good shape, being conscious of my health, because again, I'm not going to live forever. So try to get a workout in as much as possible, try to eat well, all that stuff is incredibly important. And it's helpful long term, and it has lots of benefits long term. And all that stuff, again, is not possible without what happened to me. So the third thing, and the last one, is empathy, which is huge, I think. So because of the way that I internalized everything that happened to me, my mom wasn't really in the picture much. My dad obviously was gone. So I had to process a lot of stuff by myself. And I had to work through sadness and pain and loss and neglect and all of that stuff. So because of that, when I am observing other people, I'm very quick to pick up on pain or distress in others, even if they're not making it very evident, or even if they're trying to mask it, to be completely honest with you. And that's a huge benefit, because it allows me to help people when they don't even necessarily know that they need help, or they do need it, but they're not going to ask for it. I'm pretty quick to pick up on cues and notice that something is affecting them. And I think that a lot of people appreciate me for that, because, most people would kind of like shrug it off or just ignore it, or say, well, yeah, he's probably, this person's probably not doing real great right now, but like, shit, I've got my own problems. Like, I've got enough stuff I've got to worry about. I can't be responsible for trying to get this person like back into a good mood or something like that. You know what I mean? With me, based on where I came from, being so lost and so long for such a long period of time, when I see those cues and pick up on them, I instantly want to get in and help the person. And again, I don't think I would be that way if it wasn't for everything that had happened. The thing is, rather than like try to take the lead in conversations, my default is always to listen. Listening to people, because it allows me to try to get in deep and detailed in regards to where they're coming from. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Because again, I internalized so much stuff in my life, and I got through so many huge problems basically by myself, that it made me pretty good at internalizing thoughts and processing things and problem solving. So I'm able to feel all of that on the other side of the conversation when someone's talking to me. And it's allowed me to, give some really good advice to a lot of people. And they've come back and they've said, John, thank you so much for helping me in this specific situation, or seeing things in me that nobody else could see, or telling me things about myself that nobody else has told me, allowed me to pursue a new job, I have numerous different situations for people where they've come back and thanked me for, just being an ear, and just, trying to figure out where they're coming from and trying to have empathy towards their situation. Anyone can listen to a story from someone that they love and care about, but not a lot of people can actually feel what the other person is feeling. And I think that I can kind of intrinsically do that, and it's very beneficial to people. I get a huge amount of gratitude from it as well, because I've always been the type of person that no matter what I do for myself, when I help somebody else, it's always like significantly more beneficial to me. It just feels so much better, so much purer. So yeah. So those are just a couple of the benefits that I directly get from, having the childhood trauma in my life and dealing with it over the course of my life. And I think it probably applies to a lot of people that are in the same situation as I am. So, yeah, just wanted to make this, and I wanted to, help people. Just listen, whatever your situation is, everyone's going through something. Life is hard, and a lot of stuff that people have to deal with, it sucks. I mean, it really does. Reality is you can think about it, like I said, 100% negative all the time, or you can try to at least look at it from a different angle or look at it through a different lens and say, okay, yeah, all this stuff sucks, and yeah, life is really hard, but what can I extract from my situation and try to put a positive spin on it? Because there's got to be something that I can pull from. If I'm going to be here and I'm going to be on this earth and I'm going to try to make an impact and I'm going to try to be better and I'm going to try to help others, what can I pull from all of my the negative things that have happened to me in my life? There's got to be some positive stuff I can pull out of that and try to make somebody else's life better, or try to improve my quality of life even a little bit. You're here, right? And unless you choose to change that, you might as well look at things differently and try to put in maximum effort and try to make this experience as best you can, because you can't change the past. Trust me, no one wishes that they could hit rewind on life more than me. I would do anything in the world to have my father back, literally anything, but that's not reality, and that's not my life for the next 45 years. So that's just something that I have to deal with. And after coming to terms with that, I've realized, well, can't change it, so might as well take what I can, put a positive spin on it, and try to make an impact, which is why I'm here, why I'm doing this, So again, I'll leave you with the same thing I'll leave you with every time. The only thing is stopping you is you, and that is reality. Everybody's situation's different, everybody's environment's different, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, but if something is stopping you from doing something or taking a risk or taking a plunge or, asking a question or experiencing something in life or being vulnerable, if there's anything that's stopping you from doing that, it's not somebody else. Don't blame it on somebody else. Don't blame it on your situation. Don't blame it on your environment. It's you. You're the one that's stopping yourself from doing it. And that's the reason why I made this channel. This is something I wanted to do for a long time. And for a long time, I didn't do it, because I was my own roadblock. But being vulnerable and putting yourself out there really provides a lot of growth. And again, if no one ever watches these videos, that's fine, because it's positive for me regardless. I'm getting a lot out of this journey regardless. So, but priority number one is like I said, to at least help one person going through anything. Just want you to know your voice is heard, and whatever you're dealing with, get out of your own way and overcome it. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next go around. Peace.